Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are going to be discussing a little bit about Star Wars Visions Volume 2. Let's go ahead and hop right on into it. With Star Wars Visions' upcoming season just around the corner, should fans consider these new Disney Plus episodes to be canon? And I think the sweet and short answer to that is no. Star Wars Visions, both of its seasons are not canon and are a part of Legends. They're just simple, fun little stories that kind of are experimental at the same time as well. Now in the future, I think that they definitely have a possibility, a potential for them to expand more on, so with some of these different stories that we've seen in Star Wars Visions, specifically with Volume 1 here speaking, because we haven't seen Volume 2 quite yet, but speaking on the terms of the 9th Jedi episode of Star Wars Visions Volume 1, that is something that a lot of Star Wars fans actually really liked, and would like to see them expand more on so. So in the future, to maybe bring some of these short stories to canon and expand more on them, whether it is in other media like books and comics, or if it is on Disney Plus, is kind of something that could be up in the air. And so besides the original anime concepts, one of the unique elements for Visions is how, despite being developed under Disney, the show's first season was non-canon. While some stories considered the franchise's timelines and established characters such as Tatooine Rhapsody, used Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt, they still remained uncanonical, which is fun to a point. Of course, depending on what you thought about some of those episodes. And so while Season 2 will expand outside of using just the anime animation style, the structure of the stories looks to remain similar to what the first episodes were for Season 1. And so in a recent interview with SFX Magazine, Star Wars Visions executive producer James Wow talked about the canon status of the show's second season. Wow had admitted that some of the stories could easily fit within canonical perspectives, as I had mentioned, saying that in full quote, some of the stories could easily fit within canonical perspective. And if you think the story takes place within your own headcanon, great. Even then, we weren't looking for expanded tales about known characters already. What's interesting about Visions is the opportunity to use the texture and richness of the galaxy to create new stories and new characters that are very clearly influenced by the elements of the galaxy itself. And in that quote right there, a little bit of an insight here for the overall creation, and also the mentioning of like headcanon is kind of fascinating, I think, at the same time as well. I don't really feel like there's something that's ever been officially mentioned by anybody that's worked officially with Lucasfilm all that much. So seeing that, I think, is pretty cool, and I am kind of curious to know, do you guys have any episodes of Star Wars Visions that might be in your own headcanon? Let me know in the comments down below. The producer went on to tease how UK Studios Aardman's episodes includes a very special guest star, as well as a ton of different Easter eggs throughout that episode. The UK Studio Aardman's episode is going to be like the Wallace and Gromit stop motion animation episode for Star Wars Visions Volume 2, and is probably my most anticipated episode for the second season. Saying that in full quote, I will say that Aardman's has a very special guest star, a known character from Star Wars, and there are tons of Easter eggs throughout that are instantly recognizable. The characters we've known throughout the trilogies and the shows. Ending that quote right there, saying that, like, in the quote, not necessarily that an actor like Lizzo or Jack Black in The Mandalorian would make a cameo, but an actual like Star Wars character like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, somebody that's already very well known in the Star Wars franchise, would make an appearance here in the Star Wars Visions Volume 2 within that episode, which is really, really cool. Now, previous footage from Star Wars Celebration this past couple of weeks here had also revealed that this teased appearance is none other than Wedge Antilles from the original trilogy. And so back in 2021, while speaking with Digital Spy, the producer Wow had much vaguer on the canonical status of the overall show as well. But then also having Wedge actually show up in Star Wars Visions and playing what would be quote-unquote like a prominent role here throughout that episode is something I'm looking forward to seeing how they kind of go about with that, and what we have the opportunity to see with that overall story. And so anyway, despite Disney previously stating that Visions would be non-canonical, Wow skirted the question, firmly saying how he thinks that these shorts are all authentic storytelling for Star Wars, saying that in full quote, I think that these shorts are all authentic Star Wars storytelling, but some are less on the timeline than others. Some could very much fit within our own timeline, but Visions as a whole is a more of a celebration of Star Wars through its unique perspective, this unique form, this medium, and the culture, and that was really the intention over overall. And that quote right there, pretty much saying that some episodes, of course, are going to fit better within canon than, well, others, like timeline-wise and everything like that, and kind of also what we would be seeing in some of those episodes, like how much does it actually make sense to that perspective of Star Wars as well. The article continues by saying that he also had called out episodes like Tatooine Rhapsody or The Elder as being stories that could easily fit within certain canonical points within the actual Star Wars timeline, although don't get it confused, they aren't canon, saying that in full quotes, some stories like Tatooine Rhapsody or The Elder could easily fit within certain canonical points. But that's not really the point of the initiative. We needed this to be something different, and we needed it to be really from the hearts of these creators, not a try and answer questions in Star Wars. Instead, you have Star Wars as an amazing palette to tell stories through. Ending that quote right there, just really saying more on how like you are able to have these like fun little random side stories and side quests essentially within the Star Wars galaxy, because it's such a big vast galaxy and there's so much going on in it, and there's stories out there that have never been told, and that's exactly what Star Wars Visions is for, despite it staying in non-canon and being a part of Legends. And also I think probably the most interesting thing from my own point of view here about Star Wars Visions is the way that Disney is actually focusing and taking initiative to want to create these non-canon stories here and want to actually contribute things to Legends. I think is something that's really fascinating. And of course I could be very wrong about this, but I don't really think that we've ever seen anything all much about, like, with Star Wars just in general, Lucasfilm in general, making Star Wars content just to put it in Legends and not let it be a part of canon. When I think back to about everything that is now a part of Legends now in this day and age, like The Force Unleashed or Knights of the Old Republic, those are all stories that were once intentional for being a part of the canon story and actually within the canon timeline and everything like that. However, have been, of course, transitioned to Legends since then. And so to create stories and make stories that are just a part of Legends and just for Legends, I think is something that's very fascinating. Anyway, Season 2 of Visions will continue to be fun overall. Canon or not, the next set of episodes is already bowling away the critics, so fans of the series should feel safe getting excited for what the project will give audiences. When it comes to Star Wars, canonically is always a big subject of the debate. Probably the biggest shift in this landscape was when Disney had first purchased the franchise from George Lucas in 2012, which led to decades of official canon being scrapped and chalked up as alternate legend stories, as I had mentioned, like The Force Unleashed or Knights of the Old Republic. And so after that, a new canon has been established since then, with the sequels and the Mandoverse and so much more. But Disney does have fun here and there, slowly bringing elements from Legends back into core canon, especially as we have been seeing with the whole Mandalorian and the Mandoverse. This includes things like the fan favorite Sith Lord Darth Revan, although that's really just a name drop and something that we're able to see probably in the future, which is something that's very exciting to look forward to. And so, as for Visions, the creators should probably just really enjoy the freedom that not worrying about canon and how to fit their stories into canon and everything like that is another fun part of it, because we have heard previous struggles, like for Andor and the showrunner Tony Gilroy kind of saying how that was kind of a little bit of a struggle fitting things into the timeline and into canon here overall. Same thing for the Mandoverse. And so either way, I'm looking forward to Visions Volume 2. It has a lot more to offer, especially compared to Volume 1. Not that Volume 1 was horrible or anything like that. I am definitely excited for Volume 2 of Visions, and that it will not be a part of canon, coming out on May 4th with all of its episodes. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.